Call to order the regular scheduled council meeting for Monday, August 26, 2019. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
First District Councilwoman Myrna Maldonado.
Present.
Third District Councilwoman Brenda Walker.
Present.
Fourth District Councilwoman Christine Vasquez.
Present.
Fifth District Councilman Robert Garcia.
Present.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange. Councilman at Large Richard Medina.
Present.
Councilman at Large Emiliano Perez.
Present.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Present.
Council President Lenny Francisci.
Present. I have a motion to accept the minutes for the regular scheduled meeting for Monday, August 12, 2019.
So moved.
Second, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilman Perez, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Have any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Abstain.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Medina. Yes. Perez.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes.
Have any communications from the mayor?
No, Mr. President.
Any
Mr.
communications from department heads?
Yes. I have accounts payable warrant 081519LA, accounts payable warrant 082619D, accounts payable warrant 082619CC, accounts payable warrant 082619LA, accounts payable warrant 082719CC, and accounts payable warrant 082819CC.
So moved. Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilman Monroe, to accept accounts payable warrant as read. Any question on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Orange.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes. I believe we do have a couple department heads, or we have Mr. Bennett here first.
Mr. President, thank you. I have just two things very quickly that the mayor asked me to come up and talk about today. The first is today, after working with the Standard & Poor's for a few months, they've now adjusted the city's rating. The last city rating was done several years ago, and it was a double B, which is basically junk bond rating. The review we got today was not directly with the city, but with the sanitary district, and a bond was issued there in 2015. That bond at the time was rated as a A minus, which was based on, because it's a revenue bond, they could show the potential coming in, they gave them an A minus. Today, Standard & Poor's, and I'll just read a couple of things. Standard & Poor's global rating in long-term rating has been increased to an A from an A minus in the East Chicago Sanitary District's Series 215 revenue bonds. The outlook is stable. The rating action reflects the general creditworthiness of East Chicago, whereas previously the rating was based on the district's revenue pledge. It goes on to say, and I'll make a copy of this available to the clerk so that you can have copies. It goes on to basically say that the city's made dramatic change and updates and becoming more fiscally responsible, and that we have cash reserves, and that we put policies in place which greatly improve the fiscal capabilities of this city. And so with that, I want to talk about the second subject, about the ordinance that was introduced to basically we would have to come back to the council for review anytime we wanted to make a transfer of funds. The one thing that we've been able to do, and I think you can see it throughout the city, is we've been able to make improvements by being versatile and being able to do things quickly. And we've done that. We've come to the council and explained policies. We've tried to have our people come here and explain what things we're trying to get done. But we believe that ordinance will tie our hands in some cases and restrict us from being able to do what we need to do. So we would ask that this council table this, and we'll try and meet with the council and come to a conclusion that maybe where you don't believe we're reporting enough, then we'll try and do a better job. But we'd like to see that tabled for the moment, and then we'll come back and work with the council. And that's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. I believe next we do have the Director of Utilities here.
Good evening. This is Dr. Abdurrahman Zahrawi, the DUT Director. So it was brought to my attention that there is some misunderstanding for the water bill, and I met with Councilman Perez, and I brought something that he brought to me for a lady, just for a quick explanation. So we are transitioning from old system to a new Harmony AMI system. So there is some transition. What we are doing right now, we are changing all the meters. As you can see, the contractor, when once on site, he took picture for the old meter, make index. Then there is this file that he prints for the old one, the new meter with pictures for the placements and everything. So what happened, for example, if you can see bill number 1, so the old meter has been installed in March 28th. The first bill, that number 1, it's from the first of the month of March to the April. This is the old one. It has maybe 48. So what the issue here is the dates. So this is all the bill, all system. The bill number 2 is also the old system because we were trying to work on the new one. So it says consumption is 0. So the lady made just flat fees, $19. Bill number 3, it starts from when we installed the new meter, so until the date of June 17th. So there is no double bills or triple bills because the dates that is, for example, Perez told me, oh no, because this is March 28th and we are paying April until April the 3rd, is not correct. So the lady paid until 28th because we took off the old meter. So there is no ambiguity for the bills. What we are trying to do is to shift from one system, improving the system for the city, the accuracy, the leak detection, encouraging anyone to upload this application. It's called My Water Advisor. So from your phone, you can set how much I can consume per month. If there is leak, you send you alarm that you can. Also, the water department, they are running 2 reports daily from the system. If there is leak, so we do one at 9 a.m. and one at 3 p.m. Then we call customer. So he has a leak. We repeat it 24 hours and 37 hours until the guy replies to us. If he's in traveling, he can call us and say, I'm traveling. If there is somebody that's stealing water, because the system, once it runs for 3 hours to 6 hours, we have alarm that there is a leak. So I'm encouraging everyone to have this My Water Advisor application. So we have few cases when there is double bills, yes. Maybe 2 or 3 cases, then we rectify the issue. So just to make it clear, there is no double or triple bills.
Councilman Garcia.
Mr. President, thank you for coming. You know, I'm pretty sure we all got calls, because I got plenty of calls.
Yes.
Reference to billing, and what I end up doing, just referring to Wena at the water department. But I know it's been pretty confusing. Even when you look at these bills, you got 3 dates here, 03/04/2019 to 04/03/2019. Then you got the next one, it was 04/03/2019. And the same thing, but then you got that last one, it goes from 03/2019. So that's confusing.
Yeah, this is the date that is confusing. It should be, as you can see for the bill number 3, say previous reading is 10. Just mean the new system that starts work at that time. If you see number two, they are the same reading is zero, that's mean the old system. Number one, it's previous that it's old system. So I urge Wina so she can send in explanation for the customer that they cannot be confused for future.
Because I see that last bill is on $167.30.
Yeah, because it's from March 20th to June 17th. So it's like 2 months or 3 months. Then this lady, next bill for her will be 65, which is normal.
So is that all worked out?
Yeah, it's working good. Okay. More
Yeah.
questions?
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any committee reports? Councilwoman Orange?
The Finance Committee did meet and, with Jim Bennett, myself, and attorney and the financial advisor, and Councilman Perez. So we did meet, and Bennett went over Jim Bennett went over the budget. The only thing that, it was nothing really significant, was it, any changes. The only two other people we have to meet with will be Clerk Santos and Judge Morris, once they give their budget.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Moving on to board reports. Do we have any board reports? Moving on to first, any ordinances? Clerk Santos?
Yes, ordinance on first reading, ordinance 19-0015. Sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, an ordinance vacating a portion of the public alley pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-3-12 for Lake Shore Manor.
So, Mr. President, on first reading.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Orange, to hear ordinance 19-0015 on first reading. Any questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia?
I see Mr. Morris stepped up to the mic, so I think he's got something to say.
Richard Morrisroe, acting city planner and city attorney. This is to make it possible for the Lakeshore Manor, the 204 units that are to go down Main Street on both sides and on the north side of 136th Street, senior housing. This has been planned for quite a while. There are alleys within that triangular space. Guthrie is the other side of it. And we've been asked, and think we should vacate those alleys. They go back to a former era in which there was different kinds of structures and activities along Main Street, 136th and Guthrie. So it's in that capacity. Corporation Counsel Allegretti has helped, done a lot of work in preparing this. However, I'm the point person and here to answer the questions.
Any questions for Attorney Morrisroe? Attorney?
Legal counsel question. Mr. Morrisroe, you're requesting that the council not take final action on this.
Correct.
You're requesting that they take action to move it forward and then set the hearing before the city council for September 9th.
That's correct.
Any
At
other
the same time, the Plan Commission will be taking action.
Any other questions for Attorney Morrisroe? Clerk Santos, roll call to adopt ordinance 19-0015 on first reading.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Francis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Attorney.
And then a motion be approved by the council, it could be a verbal motion to set ordinance 19-0015 for public hearing before the common council on Monday, September 9th.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Walker, to make a motion for the public hearing set for September 9th. Any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes. Clerk Santos, next ordinance, please.
Ordinance 19-0016, sponsor Councilman Robert Garcia, an ordinance to amend the penalty provided by the East Chicago Traffic Code for certain violations.
So move on first and second reading, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Vasquez, to hear ordinance 19-0016 on second reading. Any questions on the motion?
Yes, if I could have Attorney
Councilman Garcia?
Clerk's here.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Sullivan, and I'm the bookkeeper at the East Chicago City Clerk's Office. And on behalf of the Clerk's Office, basically what that ordinance is going to allow us to do for the parking tickets that are not paid within the 45 days, that gives us some ramifications as to what could be done with those tickets so they're not lingering in our office.
Councilwoman Orange?
Yes.
Okay, so what happens to them now?
Currently, we're in the process of starting back taking the parking tickets. Under our new system, we were told all court costs have to be assessed if we enter them into the system. So what we're doing is we've been told that we can take them in as a miscellaneous payment, and if they're paid within that first 30 days, they're $25. They then have, if they're not paid, an additional 15 days to pay them at $50. If they're not paid at that point, that's why we're here before the council to find out what we can do at this point, because then they would just be lingering.
So they don't have to go through the court, so this would be averted to the, going through the court?
They would be going to the court, because at that point, they would get a case number, it would be entered into Odyssey, because they're not currently being entered.
But if they do it within the 30 days, they won't be
No.
entered?
As long as the person pays it.
Councilwoman,
Yes.
Kristen's correct. This ordinance only addresses the third set of notifications to the person who received the ticket on the first due, the first 30, and the first 15 days. They can go into the clerk's office to what we call cafeteria court. It's not a court case. They simply pay the fine that's prescribed. This ordinance merely addresses the situation if they fail to pay within the first 30 after that notice, and within the next 15 after that notice, then they're notified they have another final 45 days, and if they don't pay at that point, it gets sent to city court and is docketed as a case, and then they would be required at that third interval only to pay the court costs and the fine.
So the state doesn't object to that, of them coming in and paying
No,
like
and this is
that?
consistent with the ordinance that we have on the books already.
Any other questions? Oh, can you stand up, please?
If I may, Richard Morso again, city attorney. Dawn Dawkins, who is a city prosecutor, contacted me on this and thought that, and again, I would defer to council, that this somehow then dismisses all the current parking tickets, of which there are quite a few that go back from March, April until today, and she was kind of concerned that happened. I don't, John, have you had a chance to look?
Richard, maybe Kristen can address how the clerk's office plans to handle
Pending parking.
the already issued parking tickets that are sitting there and accumulating
Right.
in the office waiting for this ordinance.
Basically, what we have is we have cases that were entered previous years where the case has gone to court. When we moved over from Courtview to Odyssey, the cases came over as well. What we're dealing with is the state is saying that those cases, even though they came from our old system, have to have court costs assessed with them if they pay the fine. So it's a matter of what's going to happen with those cases. Because currently, most of them only have a fine, not court costs.
Councilwoman Orange?
So how are those people notified?
Some of them are currently under license suspension. Some people are steadily coming to court. And that's the issue we're dealing with, is that they might have been told on the previous court date that they've only have this fine, but we can't process that payment without the court costs in the new system. And that case is in the new system.
And that amount of court costs is?
Court cost is $135.50.
For a $25 or $50 ticket.
Anything that's traffic related.
Excuse me, I have one question. I did have a resident coming and was issued a ticket, went to the clerk's office to pay the fine. They said it was not in the system yet because of this. But what about her, as far as she in limbo now? Because technically she was trying to pay it, but now that it's overpassed what it's due, now she's all of a sudden got to pay the court?
No, what we're doing is, we do have a list of all the tickets where people were issued prior to us moving over between the two systems.
Okay.
And what we're doing now is we will be sending out a letter to that individual, letting them know that as of September 1st, that's when the 30 days starts.
Okay, thank you.
And then, Kristen, they'll be subject to this new provision that's contained in
Yes.
this ordinance.
They will have to have it paid within that 30 days to pay it at 25, and then the additional 15 to pay it at the 50.
So there'll be no automatic assessment of court costs in those cases.
That only happens.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Councilwoman?
May also add, as the city clerk, we also put in that notice stating that starting the day that they receive the notice, that those days that go down, it will apply to them to also, especially because the people have already gotten the ticket, like
Right.
the one that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Clerk Santos, roll call to adopt ordinance 19-0016 on second reading.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Mr. President, motion to suspend the rules and hear on third and final reading.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Orange, to suspend the rules and hear ordinance 19-0016 on third reading. Any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Councilman Garcia.
President, moves for third and final hearing.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Vasquez, to hear ordinance 19-0016 on third and final reading. Any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Santos, next ordinance, please.
Ordinance 19-0017, Councilman Emiliano Perez. An ordinance to amend the East Chicago Municipal Code to require common council approval of budget transfers within the same major budget classification.
Motion to hear on first and second, Mr. President.
Second, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilman Perez, seconded by Councilman Garcia, to hear ordinance 19-0017 on second reading. Any questions on the motion?
First and second.
On first and second reading? Any questions on the motion? Councilwoman Orange?
I know that Councilman Perez brought this up at the finance meeting. And I do agree that they should come back and give us a list of things that they've changed. My only problem with this is that, first of all, they don't usually call the council people at large, and no disrespect to the council at larges. But when you have something going on in the district, they usually call the district people first. And just today, they had a collapse, a sewer collapse in the 4500 block of Magoon. If indeed we have to wait and change something, because maybe they had to transfer funds in order to get that fixed. So if we have to wait, how does things get fixed like that? Like I said, I had an alley that was messed up, and I wind up calling the city to find out how come, where is it on the list to be done, because we had some alleys done and some were not. and I was informed that they would have to move some things around in order to get that alley fixed. Well, the alley is fixed, but it was a detriment to the older people that lived in that area because they were tearing up their cars to get out of the garages. So my concern is if you mess around and everything, they have to come back, how do you get things fixed in a timely manner?
Councilman Perez?
The city council's main responsibility is the fiscal oversight of our budget. I don't think that we give up our authority of oversight for convenience. I don't think that there are over 28 major budget classifications with $88 million that are subject to be moved without this council's approval. You got to listen to that. $88 million that are subject to being moved without council approval out of 111 million. That is irresponsible in my eyes. That's why I created this ordinance. That is why I think that this council should take a public vote to see whether or not we want to exercise our fiscal oversight the way we're supposed to.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. When time of crisis comes, just like when the water main broke in the harbor, the city has means of getting that fixed. They don't have to come back to this council to get something like that, an emergency, to get fixed. So they do have the power to get it done. But that amount of money that they came before this council to tell us that they appropriated for and then change it, I think that's not right. You know what, when they come before us and tell us that this money is going to be used for this cause, it should be used for that cause, not used to sleight a hand or slide it sideways. They don't call me all the time when stuff is getting done in my district. Right after this election, there was nothing been done, no streets, no alleys. I know I talked to Doug, he's here today, I'm glad he's here today, but I know that Guthrie was in litigation. I see no movement there, but it's a lot of money that we're talking about, $88 million. I got a question for Senator Sender, but is that Lakeshore Manor money, is that involved in that $88 million too?
Is that the ordinance we have in front of us this evening, Lakeshore Manor? Transfer?
Is it?
Let me answer it this way. In any fund that you've appropriated money for has those four budget classifications, those four series, the 100, the 200, the 300, and the 400. So any dollars that you appropriate could be transferred within that series today without coming back to you for approval. So the manor, sanitary, the general fund, the gaming fund, any one of those funds could have dollars transferred if they're within the series without coming back to you for approval.
So my next question is, so sanitary or the street department, they got their budget, something happens, they got the means to fix it. This is, what we talking about is just the money that's been appropriated for projects already, correct?
Councilwoman Orange?
So I'm trying to figure out where they're getting the $111 million from.
I would assume, I didn't actually look at specifically the document. I know that John and Councilman Perez did, that we're totaling up a lot of funds. When we're talking about $111 million, we're talking about all the funds you appropriate, not just the general fund. And those probably do total up to much more than $100 million, and quite a few of those dollars could be transferred within those budget series without coming back to you under the authority of the controller to do so. Let me give you an example. The fire department perhaps is understaffed, and they need to run extra overtime. So they have plenty of money in the salary line. They don't have enough money in the overtime line come November. Typically, the fire chief would go to the controller's office and ask for a transfer from the payroll line to the overtime line because it's in the 100 series. Now you'd be asking that fire chief to come to you first for approval to make that same transfer.
But we do that anyway. I mean, they do that anyway for an additional appropriation.
This isn't extra money. This is money that's already been budgeted, that's just locked into the wrong line item and needs to be moved to another line item. Same dollars, moved to another line.
I'm all for oversight, but I don't understand that, the comment about the convenience, because if everybody's problem is different for them. If indeed, because like I said, I don't know nobody that's knocking on your door from the 6th District, but if indeed something is happening, it is personal to that person. And if it cannot get fixed in a timely manner, it is personal. So maybe if they had a fund where they would fix in the streets and say that it was in the 100 series, but a sewer collapsed and they had to move that money in order to fix the sewer, that's personal to the residents of East Chicago. You can say oversight, and I don't think that nobody has given up oversight. You just yourself said that you didn't think that nothing was happening with the money, that it was no funny business going on. I think it's more of just trying to micromanage the administration, but that's neither here nor there. They knock on my door, and there's some new councilmen sitting here tonight, they're going to be knocking on their door too. When you can't get something fixed in your district, and it's different for, like I said, for the council people at large. I'm sure you guys do get calls, but they reverted all back, because I've had people, the councilman at large said, we'll call the district person. So if you can't get the stuff fixed in a timely manner, then it matters to the people of East Chicago.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, I know Mr. Bennett was up here. He talked about this ordinance. It's sad that he left. He could have stood up here and answered some questions for us, but he chose to leave instead of staying up here and answer. But the city has to meet any emergency that happens. The city has the money to get anything fixed. If it's an emergency, it's there to get done.
Any other questions? Clerk Santos?
Is it all right for the audience to make?
No, it's not.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
No.
Vasquez,
No.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
Medina,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes. Clerk Santos, next ordinance?
Ordinance 19-0018, sponsor Councilwoman Gilda Orange, an ordinance adding fees for parking at Joris Park Beach.
So moved on first and second reading?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Vasquez, seconded by Councilwoman Orange to hear ordinance 19-0018 on first and second reading. Any questions on the motion?
Natalie Adams is here to talk about the ordinance.
Good evening, Natalie Adams, East Chicago Marina and Lakefront. The ordinance before you is so that we can start charging for parking at Joris Park Beach, primarily during the beach season. We had a huge influx of guests coming to our beach. As you see before you in your packet, the amount for residents is very minimal, just to really track who's coming from East Chicago. These fees mirror what is done in Whiting, and it's mostly so that we can, as you have told us many times, that the marina needs to start making more money to sustain itself, and it's just trying to find some areas to be able to do that, but mostly to also to be able to manage the influx of patrons that we have coming to the beach.
Councilwoman Orange?
Also, I have been out there at Joris Park, and the difference is night and day from Whiting to East Chicago. The amount of garbage that is put on the parking lot, and I've been there at 7 o'clock in the morning and the beach is clean. You go back at 12 o'clock at noon or 6 o'clock at night, and it's unbelievable the amount of garbage that people are putting out there. You do not see that at Walhalla Beach. You don't see it in Michigan City. All of these places have fees. Now, I'm not going to say the fees will stop everything, but it seems to have stopped it in Whiting because they do have a patrol. And it makes a big difference. And when people don't, it's a shame that when you don't charge people, they don't care. I've seen people just literally take garbage and throw it out of their car. And when we're trying to keep our city clean and people are coming in, majority from the outside and throwing garbage in, because it's a shame, a lot of people from East Chicago don't use George Park. But the people that come there should be made to take care of it. And I think that it makes a big difference in the parking situation. If they are made to park, then maybe they take their business elsewhere if they're going to destroy the park.
Councilman Perez?
The fee that you're proposing to collect, is that for residents of East Chicago also?
The residents of East Chicago would be a $5 annual fee.
So the residents of East Chicago will pay a $5 annual fee?
$5 annual fee. Anyone outside of 46312 would pay $50 annual fee.
And the $5 is unlimited parking?
Unlimited parking. And then anyone outside of Indiana would pay a $100 annual fee. We believe that, if you live in the state of Indiana and you pay taxes in the state of Indiana, you should see some difference in your benefit versus if you come here from another state.
And what is the daily rate? Just someone coming in that doesn't live in East Chicago?
Right now, what we were doing was because we did not have a parking meter. If we get the opportunity to install parking meters, it would be hourly rates. If we don't, then we propose the $20 daily rate, which is the same thing that they have in Whiting.
So you say you don't have meters?
We do not have meters right now, so for them to purchase the passes, they would come to the marina Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, to purchase the annual pass. We hope before next beach season, because we're at the end of the beach season basically, that we would have at least 2 parking meters out there, just like you have in other areas where you pay and then you go put something in your window, and then we would be monitoring that. And we have gotten a couple of quotes from the same place, the same type of meters that they use at Whiting Beach.
So if someone wants to park for 2 hours, what do you do? They don't want an annual pass?
They don't want an annual pass.
They just want 2 hours?
If we had the meter,
If you don't, because you don't have the meter, if we pass this, you still don't have the meter.
Well, I believe the rate is in there. We don't have the meter now, and we have not started charging anything now. So without the meter, that's why we said we would have to do a $20 fee, because there would be someone stationed there if we decide to move forward.
A $20 fee to get in?
For the day.
Wow, okay.
For the day. But the season is over. By the time this ordinance got written and put before you, the season ends Labor Day. So that's this weekend.
Councilwoman Maldonado?
What's the difference between visitors and non-East Chicago residents? Visitors are $4 per hour, and non-East Chicago is $20 a day. What's the difference?
That would be, again, based on if we had the meter, so it wouldn't matter where you live. You're a visitor. If you don't want to purchase a pass, a East Chicago resident, I would assume would purchase the $5 pass, because that is for the entire year. But if you come and visit and you don't have a $50 pass for the whole season or a $100 pass for the whole season, if you're out of Illinois, then you would, once we have the meters, you would feed the meter, and it's $4 an hour.
Just to piggyback off of what Councilman Perez said, you don't have the meters now. Your anticipation is to get meters.
That's correct. Correct, because the beach season now ends Labor Day weekend, which is this coming weekend.
So this doesn't take effect until next year, or does it take effect?
Well, we're trying to monitor, because the weather has been so different this year, this season, the beach has been different, so if it continues to be really hot through October, we could still have a large influx of people, and we would just, for the East Chicago residents, if they bought the $5 pass now, it would carry through all of 2020, as well as the other annual ones as well.
Okay, one last question. I thought the idea was to encourage people to come to East Chicago to visit. $20 is awfully high. I don't know that if I didn't live here, that I would want to come to enjoy all the amenities that the city is offering if it was $20.
Well, now that we've pretty much made it through this season, I don't think the $20 per day will be charged at all. The beach season, again, is over. This ordinance came later than I anticipated. We were basically putting that in place really to encourage people to come and purchase the passes. That's what we want, is for people to come and purchase the annual passes. And if we had gotten the meter installed, I also thought the meters were going to be something that was going to happen this season, but it did not. So it would have only been the hourly rate of the $4 per hour. The $20 rate was thrown out there as an option because if all else failed, we didn't get the meter, people weren't purchasing the passes. If I have to pay an employee to stand there in a booth all day, then there has to be some way to be able to manage that monetarily.
Councilwoman Vasquez?
So Natalie, once those meters are installed, they're going to be charged year-round, correct? Not just seasonal?
Once the meter is installed, it would potentially be charged year-round. We have very few people that visit the beach, once these weather gets cooler. So that's something, I guess, that the council could say, you really only want to do it during beach season. And on the off-season, it's very few people there, mostly just East Chicago residents who potentially would already have a pass anyway. And we don't even have the beach monitored as closely with security or personnel as we do during the prime beach season when it's busiest. Again, we do want to encourage people to come, but we noticed this year with an influx of so much traffic and people that we want to manage better, we've started to have vandalism. We've had gang tags, which we never had before. This was our first year for any of that. And so we just feel like that we need to rein things in a little bit. We appreciate the fact that the city of East Chicago has so many cameras because we were actually able to catch the perpetrator, and I believe they're being charged.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, thank you for coming to explain this, but I've been to Whiting plenty of times, to that beachfront in Whiting, and this is not a mirror, because they just charge a flat fee. It doesn't ask you if you're a resident or not. You just pay a flat fee. So this is not mirror Whiting.
This guy, you should have in your packet a copy from them. I'm assuming we had them email this to us. This package from Whiting Park and Walhalla Beach. This is their 2019 parking fees. This is what they sent us.
Yeah, Whiting Park and Walhalla's.
I'm sorry?
Whiting Park and
They have
Walhalla
it listed
Beach.
as Whiting Park and Walhalla Beach fees. I can only go by what they've sent me.
Yeah, I go over there, it's just a flat fee, it's no $20 per day or
They don't have the I shouldn't say they don't have the $20 per day fee because they have this. Mostly, they do the same thing that we did, try to really encourage their residents to purchase the annual pass. With their resident, their pass is a 2-year pass for $10. So in order to not have to keep up with, okay, did you buy your pass this year versus next year, we just did an annual pass of $5. But again, if they don't charge these, I'm not sure why, because this is what they told us. And I guess because it's the daily fee is so that if you know you're going to be there more than $20 a day, if you have to feed this meter hourly for $4 an hour, which is what they pay, they're encouraging you just put $20 in there, and that takes care of the whole. If you want to be there 10 hours or 12 hours, then you still come out less than the $4 per hour.
Yeah, I know I've been there quite a few times, and I just don't see the amount of volume. I want to encourage people to come, not discourage them. I think these fees discourage them. I'm a proponent not to having fees for residents. We already have fees for kids using our pools, which I think is ridiculous. But I'd rather have more people coming to our beach when it becomes a big issue that we got so many people. I see that maybe charging that, but you got the boat people parking back there. I don't know how that's going to be monitored. Then you got the events over
Parking
there.
at George Park Beach.
Mhm.
Well, anyone that would be driving through would be subject to these fees if you're parking at George Park Beach. If the boater comes in by water, there's nothing that we can do for that. We can't charge that. We don't own the water. We don't own we only own the access to the beach from the parking lot side.
How about the employees from the resorts?
The employees from the resorts, basically right now, they have their own fenced-in parking. They do, by contract, get 30 spaces in our parking. So basically, we are identifying the best way to give those 30 parking spaces, because again, there will be someone at the beach monitoring this. So they'll either be given a tag to hang from their window or something to validate in some other way, or just knowing that they have their Ameristar badge. They do, by contract, have 30 spaces in that overflow parking lot. Or they may at that point just decide to have those people park on the top of their garage.
Mr. President, like I said before, I'm not for anything charging our residents. I think our residents get charged enough as it is, but that's where I leave it at, Mr. President.
Councilman Perez.
Before we vote on this tonight, I would encourage my colleagues to think for a second. We charge kids for the swimming pool. Now we want to charge for parking at the lake. I'm a proponent for free public access on public property. People that pay property taxes, homeowners that pay their property taxes shouldn't have to pay you a subsequent fee to park at the marina. Most of our families, $5 seems like nothing to those of us who have it, but to those that are single moms with little kids, they got to pay $10 for the pool. Not if we're going to pay for marina parking where we have the splash pad. Just think about who we represent, and this fee is not going to make or break the city. We're sitting on a $15 million surplus. I'm not suggesting we squander that, but that is certainly justification. We don't need to raise the money. We're doing it because we can, and that doesn't seem right to me. The public areas are for the public, free of charge, in my opinion.
Councilwoman Orange.
Well, I know that you're talking about the single mothers, but that didn't mean anything when we was talking about the, if we have a ruptured sewer or a non-paved alley. That didn't mean anything because it was about the dollars. But the thing of it is that free is not an option. That's what has happened to our city. We have had low expectations for our people. People that want to take their kids to beach will pay that $5. $5 is not a lot for a kid to go to the swimming pool. If a kid cannot afford it, you got 9 councilmen up here that get $42,000, and they could very well take $5 out and pay for a kid to go to the swimming pool. If you turn around and then everything is free, and you go, everything gets torn up here, and we go every place else and they charging, and we're willing to go to Wicker Park and be charged. We go to Walhalla Beach, and Walhalla Beach is owned by Whiting because the county gave it to them, and we get paid. We pay over there because we go visit over there and we pay everywhere else. But when it comes to us, we have had low expectation for our people, and they need to pay because maybe they would take care of things a lot better. I'm not saying that everybody has destroyed, but I want to know how many times you've been to the lakefront this summer and have seen the destruction that's out there. At some point in time, and I don't think that it's the people of East Chicago, but you got people from the outside. $5 a year is not a lot for anybody to pay. People pay for what they want to pay for, whether it's for their children or not. I work in social services every day, and I watch people, what they decide they want to pay on. I think that you have to start somewhere where things are not being torn up. Other than that, you're constantly fixing it. Yeah, we may have a $15 million surplus, $16 million surplus. We don't know what's going to happen in 2020. You don't know if there's an emergency come through here and tear up everything, and we have to use that money. You don't know what the boat's devastation is going to be when these other boats come in, or that one gets down on 8094. We don't know. So we keep harping about that $15 million, which could go in a flash at any time if we have a major disaster in this city. If people don't pay for things, and it's a shame, sometimes they don't care about things. And so, like I said, if anybody that's in the 6th district can't afford to go to the thing, they can contact me. I'll pay the $5 for them. And I'd say that right now. And the rest of y'all should be paying for them too, if y'all so concerned about them paying that money. Most of your homeowners can afford the $5, and if it's a single mother that cannot afford to pay, I mean, they get, a lot of people are getting free lunches, they're getting free uniforms, they're getting free everything. Free is not an option all the time. And we need to stop lowering our standards and lowering our people and saying that they can't afford anything until it's proven that they can afford it, and then we should then move forward. But then everything is always free for East Chicago, then people want to sit back and talk about East Chicago.
And if I might say as well, by our splash pad being free, and by our splash pad also being a steady source of fresh water, metered water, the water bill is astronomical. It's not like at the splash pad in some of these other areas where they recycle the water. They use the same water over and over again, which is a cause for concern for germs. So basically, that water is kept in tanks underneath those splash pads, and that water is just sprayed continuously over the same children. That's why many of those places, they shut down every 30 minutes to do some sort of cycle, to run something through the water, wipe things down. We don't do that. We turn our splash pad on, our splash pad runs, but that meter is running. 1 month, my bill, the water bill just for the splash pad was over $4,000. So this $5 annual fee that we want to charge East Chicago residents is minuscule compared to the amount of money that we have to put into the beach on a daily basis, not just the splash pad, just to try to keep the beach clean, to get the graffiti down once it is graffiti. There are many costs associated with that, and keeping staff out there picking. We try to pick up garbage every couple of hours because it's so much. So many times we have to pay overtime because it's 4 o'clock and there's an influx of people, and we're understaffed. So I understand wanting to make things easily accessible to East Chicago residents, but a $5 minimal fee for an annual pass, I don't think is just an unnecessary fee. It's not we're doing something just because we can. We're doing something to put things in places as the future grows, and as the splash pad runs even more. One day the bill's going to be $10,000 for the month.
And Hammond does pay for their splash pad.
Hammond pays for their splash pad, all of them. None of their splash pads are free. Our splash pad is free.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, I remember a time when all parks had a security in it. I don't know if that much stuff is happening at the lakefront. Why we don't have security up there?
We do.
You have vendors up there that could be paying some of this costs, and the other costs that the non-East Chicago residents and the visitors will be paying that other amount. I don't think we're going to break the bank if we don't charge East Chicago residents. If it becomes an issue, it could come back before this council, But you got vendors there. If you got security there, how is all of that happening if you got security there? That's what I don't understand.
We just increased security there this summer. Again, things started happening that have never happened before. We've always had minimal security through ISM security. We've changed our security agency. We've added police and security guards because of these things happening. And as soon as we did that, because when those things started happening, that's when we increased security. But again, there's a cost associated with that. So now we have a security guard 7 days a week, from sunup to sundown, and then we have police presence in addition to that on the weekends when the traffic is the highest. The security guards now are walking all the way down to the rocks, to Gary, to the breakwater, to the beach ball, where we didn't have the staff to be able to do that before, but we had to institute that. And that's why we're looking at it saying we're spending more and more to maintain the beach, to keep the beach safe, to keep the people safe, to keep the bathrooms cleaned on a regular basis, so that we need to put a few things in place. We had the bathrooms completely painted inside and redone at the beginning of beach season, and the next day that we opened it up, I can't tell you in this open public setting what was done in there, but it wasn't nice. So,
it sounds like you need better security because you changed firms. The security wasn't doing that job.
You can't watch anything 24 hours.
But you need better security. But you got vendors there that's making money, and then with the non-residents and visitors, you'll make the money there.
We have no vendors at the beach. I'm not sure what you're speaking of. Unless there's an event, we have no vendors at the beach. We have no one out there selling anything at the beach.
Those water rides, the canoes, you got to pay for all of that stuff, correct?
That's not at the beach. That's on the marina side. That's correct.
Any other questions? Clerk Santos, roll call to adopt ordinance 19-0018.
Maldonado.
No.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Orange.
Yes.
Medina.
No.
Perez.
No.
Monroe.
Yes.
Franceschi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Clerk Santos, we have any ordinance on second reading?
Yes, ordinance 19-0013, sponsored by Mayor Anthony Copeland, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Chicago authorizing the transfer of appropriations into different budget categories of the general fund 0101-EC Fire Department.
So move in second and third reading, Mr. President.
Second. Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe, to hear ordinance 19-0013 on second reading. Any questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, Chief Herb Cerna was probably here, because I asked,
Deputy Chief Escobedo.
Redondo some questions. Are you here to answer those questions?
Yeah, that was my Deputy Chief Escobedo 2 weeks ago. Good evening, council members. We're asking for a transfer of funds from 4-3 series to a 4-2 series. What we want to buy with that is similar to what we did last year. Last year was the first year that we went back into the schools to do fire prevention education. In addition to our open house that we have the first Saturday of October, which this year is October the 5th. And so we need those funds moved so that way we can already start buying our supplies, our little red fire helmets and different things like that. And 2 weeks ago, he was here. I was on vacation. He was here. And I'm asking if you could read it on second and final reading so that way we can get this money transferred and we can start purchasing our supplies. Also, I want to note what we're also going to do with that transfer, not only just the supplies, we're going to do our fire prevention poster contest and have some giveaways for that, and CPR classes. The city purchased AEDs for all the public buildings, and we have CPR certified instructors, and we need to purchase mannequins and different supplies so we can teach all of our employees, city employees, CPR. So those are the two main things that this budget transfer is going to pay for.
Councilman Garcia?
Is that going to take you through the end of the year then?
Yes, yes it will.
That's it.
Any other questions for Chief Cerna? Clerk Santos, roll call to adopt ordinance 19-0013 on second reading.
Second and third reading, Mr. President.
I'm sorry, third.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francis.
Yes.
Thank you, council members.
Have any resolutions?
Yes, Mr. President. Resolution 19-0010, sponsored Mayor Anthony Copeland. The resolution of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago authorizing a temporary transfer to a depleted fund to facilitate demolition funded by the state's hardship program.
So moved.
Second, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilman Monroe, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Any discussion on the motion? Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, I see that James is here to talk about it.
You could hand it to the clerk, James.
Make him do some work.
Yeah, let him earn his money.
Hey, James, I think, were you here last in July and asked for a transfer, June or July?
I was, and I can explain right now.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So, So what you have before you is just wanted to give you a list of the demolitions that we have done thus far with the hardest hit. As of 8/19 of this year, we have submitted 190 claims to IACDA for reimbursement, and $1,104,581. I'm sorry, $1,104,581.86 has been transferred to the city. In total, we've demolished 108 properties, and when it's all said and done, by the end of this year, we would have demolished 135 properties using hardest hit funds. The other thing that you have there is you will see that there's a claim that you have. This is an example of the claims. When we submit a claim to IACDA, this one was submitted 7/3/2019. We submitted, we didn't get an answer from the state on this claim till August 5th. That's a whole month later. Just to tell us on this email that it has been approved to get transferred. That doesn't mean it got transferred. We still have to wait maybe a week or 2 weeks later to it actually being transferred to the city budget. Then it has to get transferred to my demolition fund. So when it's all said and done, the average wait time for us to get that money is about 2 months. So right now, we have a November 1st deadline, and so we just applied in July 26th. I submitted for surplus property, so I ended up requesting my surplus, closing out properties, ended up requesting surplus so that I could get that money so that we could demolish more properties, an additional 35 properties. We have to November 1st. So what I have, none of these I have received the surplus funds as of yet, but because I have a November 1st, that the fund that I had, we just continuing to demolish because we know that this is money that we cannot afford to lose. I've been given and what has been, and on 8/20, I received an email from Rihanna from IACDA telling us that we are going to get in addition from the surplus funds. What's going to be available to us is an additional 740. That's, from surplus funds to demolish these properties. That has not been attached to it. So that's why I'm coming before you, because due to the timeline, we want to be able to demolish, claim everything by November 1st. And so I've already started demolishing surplus properties because I cannot afford to wait on these properties. I want to be able to demolish them before November 1st and greet them.
James, so all these properties you gave us a list, these are all been knocked down?
Those have been knocked down.
Okay. Are these any part of when you came in July? Was this part of that July package too?
Oh, yes.
So what happened to that money from the July package and what you're asking for then? You came before us in July and asked, all right?
Yes.
You said some of this is part of that July.
Oh, no. Well, yes, some of that is part of July. So like I said, we replenish, they replenish the fund constantly. If it's 200,000 that I have allotted in my fund, it gets replenished based on my claims. But we're demolishing faster than when I'm getting claims paid off from the state. We have to demolish at a rapid rate, so the state is not keeping up with us. And so it gets depleted faster without us being able to get it all reimbursed. But it is being reimbursed. In fact, we just submitted another 3 claims this week, and next week we'll continue to submit.
Okay, the properties that was here that you came before us in July, they've been knocked down, you submitted that claim. So have you got paid for those yet?
Many of the properties we've gotten paid.
Okay, so why are they showing up on the list twice then? Not you.
Oh, no, sorry. That list is of all the properties that we've demolished using hard-to-hit funds. That's not the list that I'm asking.
No, I know.
To
These
get
are the ones
funded.
that you said that have been knocked down already. And
Yes.
I asked you if any of these were part of, when you came before us in July for the hardest hit, you said yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the list of all the properties that we've demolished thus far. Okay.
And then, are these, and you, I asked you if this is some of the lists that were, when you came before us in July, were these on the list too? You said yes.
Some of those
Right.
were.
So they should have been paid for already, correct?
Correct. Some of them, but it does take, like I said, not all of them have been paid for. Some of them we demolished, and it takes about 2 months, depending on, and also with the timeline, we're demolishing the properties one after the other. So it depends on when we demolished that property, if it was in July, but we could recently may have demolished a property right now, a week ago, that, of course, we haven't submitted the claim or anything to that effect. So it is just constant demolition going week by week, what we're doing right now.
Yeah, you just gotta understand, my disconnect is that you came before us in July, you asked for that, we gave it to you. 2 months later, almost, you asked for some more, and it's almost some of the same property.
Yeah, well, and those are the ones that we've demolished. I could tell you, we haven't demolished 4814 McCook. We haven't demolished 4842 Alexander.
That's on the list?
26. That's not on the list. And that's what I'm asking for funds,
Maybe what he's
4926.
asking, James, do you have a new list of what you possibly talked about 35 more properties that you will be getting done?
Sure.
Dollars, do you have a list that you can
Yes, I
present
could,
to the council? So then we're not,
sure.
I get what Councilman Garcia
I'm
is
sorry,
saying.
I
We're not
should've-
going to
I
pay
should've-
double for the same property, if we already paid it once. But if you got one, maybe you can submit it to the clerk so we can all get it?
Sure.
Okay.
This is the properties.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, James. Councilman Perez?
James, quick question. When you came in July, you came for an additional appropriation because you were waiting on the reimbursement from the prior lot, right?
Mhm.
So when we gave you that money in July, didn't they send you the reimbursement you were waiting back in July?
Yeah.
Did you receive that?
We did, and then we had to pay off the loan as well, which we ended up paying, and they took that off the budget
Okay.
as well.
So you paid the loan that the council
Sure.
authorized?
Yes,
So
yes.
that's been paid?
Yes.
Gotcha. So that's clear. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for
One
Steve?
qualifier, I think Councilman Garcia asked the fire chief, will this get you to the end of the year? So maybe, will this 100,000 get you to the end of the year?
We only had this year. No, yes, it will. Everything has to be done by November 1st. Hardest hit will no longer, it concludes this year.
Question,
Oh,
James.
Councilwoman Orange?
I had told you when you came before, you better ask for everything you wanted then.
Yes.
So I had told you, you said, oh no, this, I told you then that you should have asked for everything all at once.
Councilwoman, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Walker?
On that list that you have, are any on that list for Calumet?
Yes. In fact, quite a few of them that were received from tax sale, and you'll notice that. I could, for example, 4814 McCook, 4815 Alexander.
Excuse me, James, I'll make sure the clerk gets you
You'll see.
the
Quite a
list,
few.
and every council person before we leave this evening.
Sure.
Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, I just got one quick question. I know Gary did that program before. Are these houses being evaluated before they knock them down to give residents a chance to buy them? Like Gary had a program, hey, I sell you this house for $1. Here's a contract you got to sign, and you got to have this up and running in a year.
Actually, we received quite a substantial properties through tax sale, and some of them have been set aside not to be demoed. The ones that are here are properties that are in really bad shape, and in order to go, even if for you to get qualified to the state, you have to do a checklist, and it has to have a point value. If it doesn't reach that point value, they won't approve it.
What happened to the properties that are not demolished?
The properties that are not demolished are, they're right now they're transferred to redevelopment, so are later made available to residents.
Any other questions? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Francis.
Yes, resolution passes. This time, do we have any old business? Councilman Garcia?
Yes, Mr. President. Doug, what's your last name, Doug? Doug, what's your last name? Mr. Cunningham, can you approach? I got a question for Mr. Cunningham. Save me some time, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you. Can you give us an update on Guthrie Street?
Sure. We have come to a settlement agreement. It is in process. The documents are being reviewed by our attorneys. In the agreement, there are certain stipulations that we want to make sure are honored by both parties. Hopefully, within the next 30 days, everything's signed, all the lien waivers are turned over, everybody's been properly paid, we can start Guthrie Street reconstruction project again.
I remember last time you came before us, you said it was settled and there was still no movement. Reference to other projects in the city that's been at a halt, when are those going to be started? Because I know in my district, so many streets should have been done, alleys should have been done, but ever since after election, it's been nothing done.
What occurred was, I just came in on October when I took over. We had a lot of projects going. One of the goals that any project manager rule is we need to, before we open up new projects, we need to get some closed out. We have done that. We're in the process of closing things out, and we are now proceeding with some of the alleys, some of the pavement projects that we started. So that we've actually started back up, because we managed to get things under control. I got a chance to put my hands on each one of these projects to make sure we're moving properly, and so we'll be moving ahead with new construction.
Can you give us a list of projects that's going to go on this fall? We're almost in September right now. Can you give us a list of projects that is going to start this fall, if any is going to start this fall?
Yeah, I can provide that list for you. Sure. That's not a problem.
Any questions for Mr. Cunningham? I had one, sir. Do you know possibly the ending date or the closing date of construction for the Walsh project, 50th, 4849 do you know when it's going to be finished?
I have to check with Will. He's been over that project. I think they're around 150th Street now. Looks like it's about 80% complete. I don't know the status of the water. We usually have our meetings on Wednesday.
If you could possibly get back to me,
But
or
I
have
can
Will
get back
give me
to
a
you.
call.
I can give you a report. We can give you a copy of our meeting minutes we had today. And we have a weekly report.
Okay.
So we can provide that. That's
Thank
not
you.
a problem.
Thank you. Councilman Garcia?
Yes, Mr. Cunningham, Indianapolis Boulevard, what's the status on that?
We are just about complete with Indianapolis Boulevard. The first phase of the project will end around McDonald's. We're probably in the toughest phase of the project because we're now approaching the intersection of Chicago and Indianapolis Boulevard. As you know, this is a state highway. There are a lot of unknowns, and part of the difficulty we've had in some of the underground utility packages is that there have not been a lot of construction in East Chicago as far as our sewer infrastructures, and there's a lot down there that's unknown. And so, basically, we're in a new environment, a new So a lot of our contractors, we're actually working hand with them, underground utility locates, because there's not a lot of information as to what's going on. But Indianapolis Boulevard and Chicago Avenue, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of infrastructure underneath that we don't know about, and we're investigating. This weekend, Sunday morning, about 2 a.m., we were looking to go into, put our cameras underground, look at some of the underground structures. We're trying to find a good time because the state's not going to let us close that main intersection. So we're trying to work around the obstruction that we do have underground. There's a meeting this week as we approach that, but the completion will be at the street just south of McDonald's. That'll be our end of phase 1, and then we'll go into phase 2, which will go from McDonald's to the sanitary district.
So what's going to happen from the canal all the way to McDonald's? What's that next phase there? Because it's still closed, unpassable.
The canal?
From the canal all the way down.
Oh, you're talking about not
Columbus
the canal.
Drive.
Columbus Drive, yeah. We're in the process of getting, I think it's 140th, from Columbus Drive going south, the blocks are substantially complete. We can't open up those streets because of trucks. Because once we open up those streets, we got the safety of the workers themselves. We're trying to make sure that traffic is reduced and the trucks work around, because we've had a couple of trucks go through there. We've had some scares, but as soon as we can get released here, this whole area will open up. We're right in front of City Hall right now, and as soon as we can get those opened up, we will.
Yeah, what's the next phase? Because I don't see too much going on, so what's the next phase?
Water, utilities, we're just about complete. We're now working on the sewers, and then once we get those complete, we'll jump across the track, head south into the boulevard, the major intersection from there.
Do you anticipate it being paved this year?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we were looking at the last phase of, we know we have to come in, we have to do the pavement, how many lanes we'll have moving forward. So we should, hopefully by Thanksgiving, we should be well underway.
Any other questions for Mr. Cunningham? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham, appreciate it.
Do we have any other old business? Councilman Garcia?
Yes, I know there's been a budget meeting. Have they give you any documentation on the budget yet? Then, here, we're about to go into September, another deadline that, we need to meet, and we still haven't got a budget, and then some people wonder why we want to tie up the money that's been appropriated. Here, we can't even get a budget on time. It's not that hard, it's not rocket science. Do you anticipate a surplus for this year, Mr.?
May speak to both those issues, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody, Steve Dalton. Yes, on the surplus issue, Councilman, there is a surplus. I would put the surplus on June 30th, 45 days ago, at $26 million, which is larger than the number you guys were talking about a few minutes ago. That's why I mentioned it. You've authorized a lot of spending, and this goes to the same conversation you were just having with the engineer. They have not necessarily spent those dollars because the projects aren't moving as fast as you authorize the spending. So there will be a lot of, maybe even more than that left at the end of the year. I'm estimating 30 million. As for the budget, let me just be clear on that. Mr. Bennett committed that he would get us the budget prior to your first reading, of course, because you have to have it prior to the agenda coming out that week before. The first reading is the first meeting in September and is not the public hearing. The public hearing will take place at the second meeting in September. We anticipate 3 full readings, a first and then a public hearing and then a third. So you'll have 3 public meetings, and I assume the finance chair will probably also call another committee meeting.
And I know the Finance Chairman, Councilwoman Orange has asked for it early. I know that. for a
Yes.
fact. And we haven't got it, so.
I won't make you promises, but I think we will get it before 2 weeks from now. I think you'll see it a week before, but that's not mine to make that promise.
How much you anticipate, you said, you think at the end of the year we have surplus?
30 million.
How much of that is already accounted for?
Well, you've authorized quite a bit of spending. You've authorized about $50 million in spending for this year because you authorized the normal budget, and then the mayor also requested additional funds for large projects. So you've authorized about $50 million in spending. I just don't think it's all going to get spent this year. Jim was very honest with us that there's just no way that he can even get some of those projects under contract, much less spent. And the rule with encumbrances is if you don't have it under contract, you can't encumber it into the following year. So I would undoubtedly guess we'll be looking at an additional appropriation in January to restart the budget authority on some of those dollars.
Any other questions? Thank you. Moving on to new business. Do we have any new business?
Yes, Mr. President.
Robert Garcia.
Yes, I want to give this to Attorney Buscemi. I know that the city employees were given a letter reference to FMLA. I'd like to read this. It says, effective immediately, use of sick leave to compensate for the FMLA time taken off will comply with the sick pay policy for non-FMLA absent as described in Ordinance 12-0005, Executive Order Number 16-12, and the 2016 Employee Handbook. Sick pay may be used only for absence due to illness of employees and must be used in 8-hour increments from current sick balances. In order to use sick bank time, absence must be used 3 full days or longer. Employees who have been approved for intermediate FMLA for their own medical conditions and or for that of a family member are eligible to take time off in increments as little as 15 minutes, but will be not compensated for that time off. To me, if you got that time, you should be able to use it. I don't know why people should be punished or pay taken away from them. If they got the time, take that time away, let them continue having that pay. Mr. Buscemi, I'm gonna give you these two things, because this was sent to an employee, but can you look into this with the FMLA rules?
I'll review with Councilman and provide you and the council members the legal.
All right, thank you.
We have any other new business? Councilman Perez?
Yeah, to my colleagues, Reverend Wade reached out to me this afternoon and asked that I ask the council. He has on Thursday a Come Back to God event at Zion Missionary Baptist. He has one session at 10 a.m. in the morning, has a second session at 6 p.m., and he's inviting the entire city council. He asked that I invite you for him, so I have done that.
Any other new business? Moving on to public expression, if you could please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Clerk Santos, do we have any comment cards?
No, Mr. President.
Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Glassman,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange. Medina,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Texas.
Yes, good night.